This is probably the reason that they rotated over, but they feel late to the party. Indeed they are. Ghost Wing captured. Sneaky's in. Sneaky stuffed up. Who did he find himself? A little Tony? Oh, good night, Tony. He just got wrecked right there. That's really nice. The Grump Jaw, pull back, chop him down.
Spit out into the active camo. That was a beautiful play. Tony, absolutely delete. We gotta talk about this Kestrel build though. Solicitude looks like he might be going for a hybrid build on this Kestrel. He has the spell sword, has a bunch of crystal power on top of it. That's not something we have seen in quite a while. Sly continuing to apply the pressure.
This is not looking good for Fiery Tail Esports, and one shot almost connecting onto Penguin. Penguin able to just kind of squeeze out towards the east side on that one. Almost 2 kills, honestly. 7-0. Flash, we're not even 8 minutes into this one right now. Sly looking very strong in the early game.
This is super clean coming out of Sly. They took that Ghost Wing. They are using that buff to their advantage. They continue to put pressure onto the jungle, stealing away these camps. If you're Firetail Esports, the confidence has got to be a little shook up at this point. They haven't lost any of their turrets yet, but with this Ghost Wing buff, I think that they're going to start falling here very quickly.
And the thing also that will hold that Waldemar jumps in, a little burst onto Cracks, but they're able to reposition. Sneaky in with big splash damage onto 3 heroes. Perdune is down. He's also stuffed up. Sneaky's going to go ahead and pull Adagio back just to get sniped out. I think the one shot hit from 0 range at all, not even needed, but it feels good, man. They'll also take down Penguin of War. And 3 easy kills. You say, Waldemar trying to make the hero play here, and that won't be happening.
Not happening here today. 11-0. This is a clean game. Sly, their rotations are just so good right now. They understand the game at a much higher level, it seems, than Fiery Tail Esports. Cracks destroying Luga on that Reza. He was there for a second, couple autos. Good night.
Well, like, Reza only lives there, I think, if he's near a wall and can kind of escape. But he's got an aftershock. Cracks was able to engage on him. He gets the damage down first, gets a breaking point stacking up before Luga even replies with anything. Yeah, that's not going to ever go good for him. Waldemar getting aggressive on Nomad, Vagabond, and Solicitude, who will be able to escape the danger, though. It just feels that Sly makes that rotation into their jungle. They'll take the weapon tree in one more time. One shot connects down onto the Anka, and that was just a true one shot, 1 kill. Now Perdune moving down. They found Cracks, and this is going to be a nice kill to get Firetail Esports on the board, but Sneaky's here. Look at this Grump Jaw just terrorizing Fiery Tail over here. Tony's down. Good night, Sweet Prince. And Artemis as well. It's going to go down almost too easy on that drop.
Yeah, that was great rotation by Sly. Cracks actually caught out a little bit there. First death for his team. Feels bad, man. It is going to open up the map for Sly to take their second Ghost Wing of the game. Firetail Esports not even going to be able to contest that at all. They finally put 2 turrets into the ground with the Ghost Wing buff. Now I definitely expect Sly to continue a lot of this aggression. Cracks though needs to make sure he's not getting caught out like that. He just needs to group up with his team as they've been doing for the better half of the first part of this game, and this pressure, this gold lead, I mean 10k, that's not a deficit that many teams ever come back from.
I don't know. I'm on the regular coming back from 10k's Flash. I don't know what you're talking about.
You must be playing a different game, because in Vainglory, that does not happen.
Oh shit, we were on Vainglory right now. My bad. I had spaced out for a second. Yeah, 10k, that's quite a lot in Vainglory. Right now, though, Waldemar and Luga trying to close the gap a bit. They're applying quite a bit of pressure up into this top lane, but not enough to take this turret down because Sneaky has made his way on. Nomad Vagabond almost dropping the wall right on Waldemar's head, man. If you saw that, that was very close. I like that Luga actually I would say stay on that. Finish that down. You're going to feed your... There's no way he gets out of this, right?
No, not a chance. With the Vein Crystal, now that it has those defensive weapons, it's just going to prevent those recalls. Great snipe coming out of Solicitude. He is indeed has this hybrid build, the Shattered Glass and the Spell Sword. It's going to keep his energy very, very high. It's going to give him that extra range in his glimmer shots, and his basic attacks are going to pack quite a bit of a punch on top of that.
Dude, there's 3 scout cams between the weapon tree and then the gold oak in the top jungle of Fiery Tail right now. It's I don't know what's going on there, but you're not getting through without being seen.
Yeah, definitely going to be tough for them to try and deal with that. Penguin of War and Perdune in this bottom lane, trying to apply a little bit of pressure. Cracks, though, on this kinetic. He is pretty built up. He's at 3 of his core items. That's a lot of damage, but will the crowd control out of Tony be enough to stop him?
Let's see. Cracks usually isn't the tankiest, and he will get taken down there. So, I mean, that's the second kill of the game, and they got the kill the same way. They get onto that fairly squishy hero, focus him down. Adagio is going to get taken out right in the mid lane. Black Claw marching forward. But I don't think that one kill onto the kinetics really going to be too big of a deal. I don't know, Fiery Tail Esports, maybe an opportunity that Sly, gets a little too aggressive, gets deep into their base, takes too much damage from one of these turrets. Right now, Sly just hammering down this base turret. It's going to be quickly melted. Blacklaw, incredibly healthy still. I'm just not feeling impact out of really any of these heroes coming out of the side of Fiery Tail. You do have like the Serpent's Mask breaking point completed for the Sky. You have the weapon infusion on her. Maybe now's a chance. They pull the trigger. They start to move on forward here. Beluga trying to get on the back lines, but it's sneaky Nomad Vagabond where he's getting it down. Waldemar, he's on his Fontu. Is he there? He is with the Mirage. He's able to get the kill. Now moving in, has traded 1 for 1. His Kestrel was able to find the return kill. Penguin of War tries to get out, but gets taken out. Perdune walks right into the Glimmer shot. It looks like Artemis will get taken down as well. And Luga, if he gets out, yeah, he'll eat that one. Probably gets out, but the base will not be making it out of this one.
No, it won't. I actually really like that out of Fiery Tail. They pulled the trigger. They were very coordinated. They all went in at the same time. They were able to pick up a couple of kills there. Unfortunately, too much of a deficit for them to be able to really deal with that in the manner that they needed to. But yeah, that one, game number 1, going over to Sly.
Game 1 going to Sly, and let's see what our analysts have to say about Fiery Tail Esports. Maybe they can come back in game 2. Munchables, take it away.
Well, we said this would be all or nothing for Fiery Tail, and well, in game number 1, it was absolutely nothing. Like, Sly, completely in control.
Yeah, I loved the way Sly moved around the map, just constantly taking advantage of every situation they could.
The Grumpjaw early game.
Yep. I said that was going to be the most important thing, was how this Grumpjaw moved around early on. Absolutely took advantage of that pick. We said in the draft I wasn't crazy about the pick there, not because it was a bad pick, just because I would have liked to have seen a different strategy, but the pick shows why the Grumpjaw is such a strong pick, why I believe he's the strongest jungler in the game.
And they were showing why he's good. That's the way you should use a Grumpjaw. Control that early game. I was talking about the compositions in like a late game 5v5 sense, but there was no way that happened with the way they used Grumpjaw. They just completely dominated the map. There was nothing.
We only saw
Fiery Tail
one
could
5v5 fight the entire game.
And it was already, 18 kills up in favor of Sly. So just utter control coming out from them. Phenomenal stuff. And great to see such a dominating performance from Sly, considering Kiana Nakoa wasn't in the roster. Let's take a look at where we are in the tournament right now, though. Yesterday, we saw Clash and Rising Lotus both win their quarterfinals respectively. And I want to take another look at what happened with Rising Lotus, because they upset Divine Vendetta. Let's take a look at our Rockstar rewind of what was going on yesterday.
Yeah, this game was incredible. If you didn't get to watch it, make sure you go back. Rising Lotus coming from behind, not in the series, but in the individual game. They were down in gold, but managed to find an incredible team fight, really using their heroes to their maximum potential and just basically just surviving long enough to get to the point where they could win a full-on fight. Incredible matchup and an incredible series.
Honestly, the team fighting from them, the coordination, the ability to just kite away in a fight for so long, consistently every fight as well. Fantastic stuff to see. And I'm excited for that semi-final. Clash against Rising Lotus is going to be one to behold. But I want to talk a little bit more about the draft in this series and in general, because we've still yet to see Silvernail. He just seemingly doesn't exist in pro play right now. So far, we've had, like 4 games yesterday.
We've had 9 total drafts.
4 series yesterday.
Yeah, we've had 9 total drafts, and we have yet to see Silvernail appear as a pick or a ban.
I was talking to some pros last night. I was talking to some coaches, especially from Tribe, and they were saying that Silvernail is not a bad hero right now. It's not like he's undertuned, he still does damage. He's just so hard to play. He doesn't have mobility like a lot of the other weapon power carries have, which means things like the Reza and the Anchor can shut him down very easily. So it's more a matter of you have to build an entire composition around this guy. He has to be like your protect the carry kind of style, which is a very late game composition. So right now, teams aren't comfortable going for that late game style because most of the wins are in the early game.
Yeah, I think once teams get a little bit more accustomed to Silvernail, once players start to figure out his kit a little bit more, start to get used to his play style, because it is a very different play style. Because a lot of the carries, like you said, you're using mobility to reposition, things like that. Silvernail, it's all about defensive ability use in order to win aggressive fights. And it feels very weird at first, but once you get used to it, it just starts to come naturally. You start to really kind of understand how the kit works. But again, it's that when you're going aggressive, you still have to play defensive with him in order to get those
set
stuns.
up your stakes. You have to set yourself up for success before the fight begins. Now, I want to know what you guys at home think of Silvernail too. Also, I want to see some predictions. What game are we first going to see Silvernail in? It'll happen eventually here in the VPL. But we just have to figure out which game. Hashtag VPL on Twitter. Let us know what you think. But it's about time that we kick off game number 2 of this series. It's time to see if Fiery Tail can get back on that horse. Because honestly, Sly Vice-like group on game number 1. Can they do it again though? Like, let's say if the Grumjaw is banned away, that changes things dramatically because that was the crux of the competition.
Absolutely was. And I think another thing for Fiery Tail in this game is not so much
Grumjaw is banned away.
Grumjaw is going to get banned. Very smart ban, but not so much a draft change that I want to see come out of Fiery Tail, but also just a recognizing when your enemy team is going to make those movements. There were multiple times where it was very telegraphed that Sly was going to be making one of those rotations down with multiple members from mid or from top and moving to either the bottom or mid lanes, and they just weren't able to respond to that, even though it was very telegraphed because the lane was getting shoved up and then the members disappeared, but nobody from Fiery Tail moved to react to that.
I want to talk about the fact, not even necessarily the picks, how fast Sly locked in just then. Their first 2 picks instantly locked in. The Churnwalker and the Arno doesn't give away your strategy, but also shows they are feeling confident right now. They are on fire. Obviously, off the back of game 1, of course you're going to be coming in confident. You're going to be feeling good about yourselves. You're going to be looking for a nice, easy game 2 win based off of the performance so far.
And it's not just showing your confidence, it's also taking away a little bit of time from your opponents to be able to have, those extra seconds can be so precious when you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your composition, especially when you're trying to recover from a game 1 loss. Yeah. This is something that's been done in other MOBAs. It's been done in Vainglory. Flash X himself was one of the guys that was known for doing this with his teams, where they would, once they knew what their picks were, they wait to lock in their first pick until they knew what their second pick was, so that they could lock them both in instantly and just deny that little bit of extra strategy time from their opponents.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can lock in fast as well, like 20 seconds per pick over the course of a draft, that's over a minute you're denying from your opponent as well, if you've already got an idea of what you're wanting. Different styles so far coming out from Fiery Tail though. The Samuel locked in, obviously very strong hero right now, but not quite as all in as game 1 with the Reza and the Anchor. Maybe a little overzealous there.
I'm also curious to see if this Reza is going to end up in Waldemar's hands, because we talked about the fact that Reza is his favorite hero, but he was playing the Anka in game 1. Do they now switch it up? Do they put the Reza in Waldemar's hands? Do they have someone else, or is he going to be playing something else instead?
I quite like how this composition is starting to shape up for Fiery Tail. I'd love to see them go with something here, just something a bit tankier.
Yeah, they
to
need
protect.
some sort of tankiness. Maybe the Tony.
I like that they have early game and late game.
Yeah.
Reza can take control of the mid game. If he can get the ball rolling, he'll kind of tide them over. Then later on, all you need is Baron to just survive in a fight, and you've already won by default.
Black Feather.
Okay. It's all gone out of the window. So
all or nothing.
All or nothing.
all or nothing
is the words. Perdun gonna grab that one. Apparently Jungle Captain Blackfeather. I'm gonna assume that's not the case. Let's take a look at the Sly composition though. With a didn't quite see what the last pick was for that one. It looked like it might have been a Celeste, or at least that was being hovered, and we'll see if that was locked in. But definitely, I think Sly, if they could play anything like game number one.
I just heard it was a Maline as the last pick there. So
Maline was already locked in on the third pick, so I'm not
oh yeah,
quite
no, it
sure
is a Celeste.
if
I
it was
can
traded down.
actually, I can just see it out of the corner of my eye. It is Celeste that was locked pick. Then they swapped it almost instantly.
Yeah.
So it looked like a Maline, but it was Celeste locked pick. So Celeste and Maline on the same side. So again,
Yes, the
very
Maline-
heavy crystal power damage.
Absolutely, Maline will go to one of those side lanes, and we've seen that a little bit from other teams as well. She can just bully lanes so well. If you're good at Maline, you can dominate the laning phase. It's so difficult to trade against her because she has those extra abilities, but you have to capitalize when they're on cooldown. You have to punish her when she's not able, but just the ability to dip out of fights as well. That's the biggest thing, her being a dark form.
I mean, we saw yesterday using the dark form to go into the shadows to avoid Baron ultimates and things like that. I'm interested to see if this is going to be a weapon or a Crystal Baron. You assume weapon, but PT Lamb made a case for Crystal Baron yesterday.
He did. Crystal Baron looked great. Let's take a look at this game. Let's jump on into Sovereign's Rise. We're going to be passing it back over to Flash X and Humanist for game number 2 here between Sly and Fairy Tail.
Game 2 between Fairy Tail Esports and Sly is live. I'm Humanist, and once again, we have Flash X by my side. Waldemar will be on Samuel this game. Do you think we can have a different story?
A much different hero than the Anka he played last game. He wasn't able to have the impact his team needed him to have. Again, though, he's on one of these very strong early game heroes. He needs to be able to find the right openings in order to capitalize. Samuel can be an absolute monster if he gets the lead. Sly, though, securing that Crystal Treant and Nomad Vagabond on the Churnwalker. One of the strongest, if not the single strongest captain in the meta right now. That's going to be very hard for Fairy Tail Sports to try and deal with.
Well, I thought you were going to say one of the strongest crystal buff holders in the game.
No, not quite. I think Celeste would have preferred to have had that, but it's better for Sly to secure that rather than to just give it over to the Black Feather, who was trying to contest there. And I definitely think they're going to be happy about that one.
Waldemar drifting back into the mid lane here. And Svantu will eat a little bit of damage, but no big deal. Turret or the lane pressure is forward. Waldemar has to stay under turret to farm that out. Penguin War is going to be on this Baron. So I like that there's a nice mix of damage on this team. And between the Baron and the Black Feather, if you don't control one of those heroes, they typically can get a lot done.
Absolutely. The Black Feather going to be looking to get onto these back lines like Celeste, like the Maline. I think his target should be Celeste. Maline has many tools to try and get it out of an engagement. Penguin of War, though, we saw Europe playing the crystal-powered Baron yesterday. Looks like he's going to be going weapon. I like that a lot more. Granted, PT Lamb played it absolutely phenomenally. Going to be a little bit of a skirmish in this mid lane. If Churnwalker can get chained up, though, the damage on Celeste and Maline can be absolutely immense, and something that Fairy Tail Sports is going to have to be very careful of.
Core collapse landing there onto Waldemar. Just nice prediction by Solicitude. And you kind of have that setup between the Maline and the Celeste, right? Like you can go root into core collapse, or you can land a core collapse like that into root super easy. I think the prior is the easier one to execute, but that is a lot of lockdown and burst that will be coupled up with it.
Absolutely. Nomad, once he starts to get a little bit more defense on this Churnwalker, he'll be able to eat some of that damage a little bit more, allow his team to get a little bit more damage sharing done with those chains. Churnwalker, it can be very, very frustrating to play against, because as soon as you think you start weakening him down, he starts healing so much when his team is behind him, just shelling out so much damage. But this early game, much slower than what we've seen out of Europe in the past, but Nomad might be in a little bit of trouble.
He's not in trouble anymore. He's dead. That's the first blood. Fairy Tail Esports striking first blood here in game 2. A little bit different story, as you said, from game 1.
Yeah, definitely kind of a risky engagement. They didn't see anyone from Fairy Tail on the map, so to make that invade there, was definitely it shows a lot of confidence. Fontu putting a little bit of damage, slowing the recall coming out of Luga. But Sly, they're just going to need to find a little bit of a reset. About 2 minutes away from that Ghost Wing coming up. Perdun going in hot though.
Yeah, Perdun and Penguin of War kind of showing up around the same time, and I'm sure Solicitude was like, dude, what the nuts? Just get out of my lane.
Yeah, Fiery Tail Sports showing that their confidence has not been shaken despite that game one. They're not scared to put pressure when the opportunity presents itself. I like that a lot out of them. The tier 3 items starting to come together at this point. Baron probably going for that Sorrow Blade. Once he has that completed, that is going to pack quite the punch. And if one of these backline carries like Solicitude on the Celeste gets caught out of position, that might hurt quite a bit.
So, like you say, one of these backline carries like Solicitude, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, is there any other backline carry that you want to blow up besides that Celeste? Like, typically, I don't know, Vox, a little bit more elusive, can survive through. It's scary if you allow him to put damage on you and he turns it. And then the Malign as well.
Yeah, his primary target is definitely going to be the Celeste, but a little bit of a skirmish in the mid lane.
Quite the skirmish. All of a sudden now Luga showing up from the top lane as well. Waldemar's got to get back. Oh, look at the region coming through. Has he baited them in here? They lost their Adagio, so Sly's on the board. This is a 1-1 game. Nomad Vagabond incredibly low, but he will stay alive. Perdun drops low. Solar Storm tears through this mid lane there. Nice shot from Solicitude. And they will have to respect that damage coming out of the Malice Verdict from Waldemar, but he's low, so he can't commit forward. And also Luga just having a hard time getting forward, and he doesn't have his ultimate yet either. I think a good Netherform Detonator could have done a lot of work for them there.
Yeah, not just his Netherform Detonator, but picking up his Aftershock as well. He'll have it here very shortly. Safantu going on to Luga, though.
Oh, the heal! Is Luga gonna stay alive through this? Oh, thank your buddy, my man. Waldemar will take the second kill of the game for Fiery Tail. As Sneaky makes his way over, he's forcing Waldemar back. In fact, he's just gonna take that kill. Just flexes up on him and says, "You are mine. This is my jungle." Penguin and War will find an Arden, but that's not really the target that this Baron wants to be finding here early on.
He didn't find the Arden, but as Celeste was trying to run away from the fight, the Ion Cannon actually came down and picked her off in the back. It was completely off out of the center of the action. I mean, it really was a phenomenal, very well placed Ion Cannon. Penguin War picking up a kill for himself. He has to be feeling really good about that. I mean, it's Fiery Tail Sports with the small, albeit very, very small gold lead here, about 7 minutes in. A lot of these heroes picking up some items. Solicitude opting for the Frostburn first item on Celeste. That is not something we have seen very much thus far in the VPL. A little bit of an interesting choice, particularly because Fiery Tail has so many movement abilities. I don't know how effective Frostburn is even going to be. I mean, Reza has gap closers, Blackfeather has gap closers. Those would normally be the type of heroes that you want to be slowing, but I don't know how effective that's going to work out for them.
First damage from Fiery Tail comes out onto Krax. Krax is pretty low, and with this, Sly backs off of Ghost Wing. Ion Cannon dropping in a pretty nice point, but it's not really going to connect like they like to. Perdun and Penguin of War, nice chunk damage, dropping Sly down low, but they turn it around. Penguin of War first to fall here. They've lost their Baron. Now Perdun, that on point trying to connect. Luga dropping down like he's Superman, but not getting anything done. Now he's out, but his team's back in. This just feels like classic miscommunication here, Flash, and they're really not taking advantage of any of this.
A lot of Sly going very low, but Fiery Tail not able to find any kills. Perdun in and out, dodging, dipping, ducking, and diving.
Sneaky actually got that crystal tree and drops the gauntlet. That's going to be another stun. Luga's down. Perdun's going to be falling. Celeste stays alive, ticking down low, and Waldemar kiting back. Oh, hey, Penguin of War, nice time to show up, buddy. Hey! The Trespass will stun him up just long enough for Waldemar to drop. Penguin War turns around, takes that shot. He will take down the Churn Walker. So Penguin War getting a little bit out of that, but his team losing a little bit more.
This is a tight game. Signs of life out of both teams. I mean, this is really anyone's game at this point. Looking down the road, both of these teams really do scale incredibly well. Cracks going in on Penguin of War, though.
Dude, that felt super dangerous to get that close of range into the Fox, but Nether Form detonator, Solicitude with a little troublemaker will go down. Luga coming online here 9 minutes in.
Luga definitely having a much better showing than he did in game one. Reza, one of those heroes that is very, very hard to play from behind. You want to at least stay even, which he has definitely done here in this game. He's got the level advantage on the Maline. And if he can find these carries that step up just a little bit too far, that burst damage is hard for anyone to deal with.
Ion Cannon called down. Not sure where that landed on the map, if you saw that, but it doesn't seem to be a big deal. Perdune trying to contest or get in on this Gold Oak. Solar Storm will fly through, doesn't connect. Sly able to take their Gold Oak, but at least the weapon train was taken away by Fiery Tail Esports, and this is kind of the first real map aggression we've seen out of them.
Yeah, they've got about a 1k gold lead, which they have to feel pretty good about. We saw Sly try and take Ghost Wing. They just had to drop it previously, but with both teams kind of finding a little bit of a reset, if they notice that both Blackfeather and Reza are in this top lane, they might try and go for it again. It would still be a very, very risky call, but we have seen a lot of these European teams be very confident at times with these objective captures. Wouldn't be surprised to see it again. Sneaky on this Arden, putting the hurt into Penguin of War, though.
Dude, he is really just lighting fools up. Penguin of War can't stack up against the Arden. He's going to hang around. Let's see. I thought Esfonte was going to potentially go for the catch there. When he's going to hold off on that, they want to spend their resources a little more wisely. They'll start up Ghost Wing. But you do have Luga and Waldemar on the top side of the map. I don't think they make it down here before this Ghost Wing drops. This is going to be sketchy.
Yeah, it's going to be sketchy. I think that that's actually a good trade by Sly if they're able to secure it, but they need to start putting some more pressure on the Ghost Wing, because right now they might not even be able to trade it out as they start to drop it and rotate backwards.
Once again, so much respect coming out of Sly, and now Luke and Waldemar are here, but they turn it around. They take down the Adagio first, but will they be able to take down the Churnwalkers? Fiery Tail chase forward. No, he's too tanky. Krax is coming around from the backside. Krax is onto Waldemar. They've lost their Reza. Looks like they've lost their Baron. Samuel will be dropping. The double kill comes through on the end for Sneaky. That's the ace, putting Slay up 15-7 as Fiery Tail stumble and fall.
That is a huge team fight for Sly. Fiery Tail looked so good. They had the numbers advantage. Vox was still up in the top side of the map, but it was a great rotation by Krax to come in and help clean up the rest of the team fight. The gold, though, still dead even. Ghost Wing going to give them a little bit of a bump. They need to try and use this buff to start bringing down some of these turrets if they want to swing the game in their favor, because even though they do have that kill lead, the gold is really what is super, super important as these carries start to complete some more items. Baron almost has his breaking point online. That's going to be a huge pickup for him. Fiery Tail Sports just needs to find a little bit of a reset, get a little bit more coordinated. It's super hard to chase a Churnwalker and Celeste into a choke point. Slide did a great job in that last team fight, punishing them for it.
I feel like Penguin of War has a good eye for when he should be jumping into engagements and putting damage down, but it feels a little lackluster in his positioning, sometimes allowing himself to get engaged on by like the Vox or other heroes, maybe the Arden, and he could stay at a little bit deeper range. I hope we see that going forward here, especially when he gets the breaking point up. And these guys just walk right into 4 from Sly. Perdune is just throwing himself to the wolves. Penguin of War is going to look to make a juke out here, but there's nowhere to go. And that's a double kill for Solicitude. Pretty much worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's definitely not what you want. Fiery Tail Sports did find a turret during that push. They have to feel good about it. But yeah, the Cracks, great outplay in a 1 versus 2, allowing his team enough time to kind of rotate in. Blackclaw on the map, though. They haven't done too much with their Ghost Wing buff. It is going to wear off, but if they are able to secure this Blackclaw, this will surely be the opportunity for Sly to start bringing down some of these turrets.
It definitely will be, and you know, the thing is though, Fiery Tail, they haven't been too shy to contest. Now Krax building up breaking point stacks. This is the first real breaking point fight I think we've had for the Vox, maybe the last one. Krax has 10 breaking point stacks at this point. Celeste able to take a kill. Maline grabs another one. That's 2 down, plus Blackclaw is going to be marching down the lane. And it looks like Fiery Tail Esports just kind of crumbling right here around the 14-minute mark.
crumbling indeed. They held their composure together for so long. I think that ace is really the collapsing point for them. Sly stepping it up a notch as they hit a lot of these major power spikes. Spellfire now online for Celeste. The mortal wounds is going to be huge in negating the heals out of Adagio, the barriers out of Blackfeather, the sustain from Samuel. They're looking to siege the base now.
I would say they're sieging the base fully right now. Sly, I like their positioning. You see Luga from the top, and they kind of hang out just below the middle part of this mid lane here. Now, a nice ion cannon. Are they going to fall? I would say go. That's the go call right there. Churnwalker is going to drop. Now, how about somebody just jump into the back lines and blow somebody up right here? Penguin War is going to go ahead and get in. Nice splash damage onto a couple. Penguin War takes one. They're moving in Luga. He's looking for Solicitude or Sneaky. They've done it. They've taken down 4. Flash, they're going to take down 5. It's the ace. Fiery Tail are back in the game. They will not lose an armory. They go for the Ghost Wing. They're going to split this. They're going to take a turret. They're going to take Ghost Wing. What just happened?
That's huge for Fiery Tail Sports. That's exactly what they needed. They have these moments where they all seem to be operating on the same page, and if they can continue that through the rest of the game, that's exactly what they need. They have the Ghost Wing surely in their pockets. All the tier 1 turrets on the side of Sly have now been destroyed. Fiery Tail, if they can stay together in these team fights and be super coordinated in these engagements like they just were, that's exactly what they need to rinse and repeat in order to find success for the rest of this game.
Breaking point complete for the Blackfeather now. This does change things for his playstyle. Also, Tyrant's Monocle being completed for Penguin of War. I feel like these are a couple quite nice big pickups.
They're huge. He's got the weapon infusion on top of it. Solicitude
found Solicitude. He winds up for the burst, but it was blocked off. Nomad Vagabond trying to tank up for his team. He's taking a lot of damage. Ion Cannon's there, but it won't be enough to secure the kill. Penguin War jump jets forward. He has the double attack. He takes it. Nomad Vagabond is the first to drop. Now they will move forward looking for more. Solicitude doesn't have a good angle to get out of this one. I think they take the Celeste as well. Where is Sneaky? Sneaky's on the bottom side of the map taking the weapon Treant down here. They're going to lose their Celeste. And I just gotta wonder, like, what was this turn of engagements here?
Sly
moves in, finds Perdune. They do have the advantage if they wanted to go, but looks like they didn't make the call immediately, and that hesitation will cost them a kill.
Sly's crumbling at the seams. The game, as it seemed like it was in their favors, flipping around. It's Fiery Tail with the gold lead. Now, I don't know what Sneaky was doing. I don't really know what his team was doing. When you're playing that utility style top laner in this Arden, you have to be with your team. That's the whole reason you play and build a hero like that. They need the pulse weave. They need the extra crucible. They need the gauntlet to really allow them to be able to kite out this fight. That's so critical to them being able to find successful in these team engagements. Ghost Wing buff has now worn off though. Things are going to calm down just a little bit. But Fiery Tail Sports, they're definitely feeling the momentum and they're putting the pressure onto this Crystal Tramp, but Solicitude going to be able to secure it.
Waldemar has no idea that they have vision on him. This was a nice scout cam that went down by Nomad in the last engagement. It's got full value out of this, and I'm surprised nobody actually died because of that. Luga's pushing the top lane. Waldemar needs to kite back. He's trying to get onto Solicitude, but I don't think he can trade this out. Perdune's in. Actually, Solicitude being forced out. Penguin War stacking up his breaking point. Things starting to look good for Fiery Tail right here. Solicitude taking damage. I think they have the kill. They've got one. They're looking for 2. Nomads going to be dropping. Perdune will go down. Flash. I think they're doing it. Sneaky will be able to teleport out. Sfontu able to get out as well. But Luga shoves down that top lane. That's only the base turrets remaining here.
Luga had a huge play in the top lane, finding the 1v1 onto Crack. Again, Sly needs to group up and they need to kite together. That's exactly how their comp works. Fiery Tail Sports is essentially forced to dive. Granted, they have the tools to do it with the Reza, with the Blackfeather, with the jump from Baron coming in. Fiery Tail gonna try and secure up this Black Claw. I don't know if Sfontu is gonna be able to find the steal, the Solar Storm, not connecting.
Celeste got it?
What?
Celeste got it, dude!
Okay.
He got it!
Okay, all right. Well, Slide, that is a gift from the gods. Solar Storm went all the way through it. I don't know if it was
Was
the
it though? Because
Spellfire.
this is how Fiery Tail won the last fight. It's like, you get a Black Claw, we take your base. They'll take down the Vox to start things off. Nomad Vagabond looking squishy at this point. Penguin of War feeling thick. He'll go ahead and drop back down the lane. They want to take this Black Claw. Don't want this Armory to go for free. Armory's definitely going to drop here on this one. And it means that the Ghost Wing will be taken up by Sly. So a little bit awkward, but not the worst case scenario for Firetail.
That was quite the interesting turn of events. We'll have to go back to the replay cam, figure out exactly how that one went down. But I think, yeah, huge gift to Sly to be able to find that last hit. I assume what was a phenomenal Solar Storm by Solicitude in order to steal that away. Feels bad if you're Firetail Sports now, but their rotations super clean, sneaky. That's not where you want to be, my friend.
This feels like the real test. If you can take this Arden down, you can take anybody on this team down right now. And they won't all be able to collapse down enough to round Sneaky up. But I think everybody on Sly should be respecting the damage coming out of Fiery Tail Esports at this point. Fiery Tail also not strong enough to be getting overconfident. They still need to take good fights here. And Sly groups up. Churnwalker moving down from the middle lane to join up with his team in the river. What is the proper engage right now? Does it involve the Gauntlet, or is the Gauntlet like a secondary engagement?
Sly should probably try and force the engagement with this Ghost Wing buff. They know that Firetail Sports is a little bit split right now. They're going to find a little bit of pressure into their topside jungle. But again, if you're Sly, your goal needs to just be to kite back. Your carries are going to get dove upon, again, by this Reza, by this Blackfeather. She's got the Halcyon Chargers, so it has that really nice 3-second sprint duration. Reza, Luga able to find the recall. Vox knew he was there. If they're communicating that to their team, that might have been the go signal to go onto the rest of the team. But at this point, Vox is not with the rest of his team.
The root is there, but there's not follow-up. Waldemar has low energy. This is not the best fight for the Samuel. Solicitude's there, throws a Solar Storm and doesn't fully connect. In fact, this is Solicitude that gets blown up to start this off. The Gauntlet has already been used, and this is a 1-for-1. No, it's a 2-for-1. It's a 3-for-1 trade. They're falling like flies here. Cracks will be the next to go down. Will Waldemar survive through this? Waldemar, the God Legend. Oh my goodness. It's going to be another ace for Fiery Tail. Esports.com. Wow, these guys.
Firetail stepping it up here in game 2. They are starting to swing this gold lead heavily in their favor. Sly, though, they still have quite a few turrets online, so I think we're still at least one team fight, probably 2 team fights away from this game. Really, you know, finding a victor coming out. There's still a lot of time left. I still just don't like Sly's engagement. They need to kite back with the Celeste. Celeste is being caught out of position. She's being forced to just throw her Solar Storm right at the start of the team fight, only connecting on the one of these people. But if they can get into a channel, kite back together, allow the Heliogenesis to stack up and splash onto multiple targets with Churnwalker dealing a lot of damage, that's what they need. But Solicitude, again, he's just stepping so far forward.
Yeah, it's going to be boots on cooldown as well. And just for the record, I think, Flash, you're talking more about the play style. You're not blaming this Frostburn, right? You wouldn't do that to me.
No, yeah, I mean, Frostburn, is that really the right decision? No, probably not. But I think a lot of the reason why they're struggling so much is because they just are not... They're not paying enough attention to their positioning as they should be. And Ghost Wing going to be secured by Fiery Tail Sports unless Celeste can have another beautiful Solar Storm, but it's on cooldown, so it's not going to happen.
Fiery Tail, I don't know if you're sensing that. I feel like they're moving with swagger across the map now. As Fies, they drop down. This is such a tight rotation, and this is like reminiscent of the last one that happened. Remember we said if they take Arden, they can take anybody. They just melt him. Now, the question is, do they survive through this? The wait for it was thrown out. Slumbering Husk procced off on Cracks. It feels like a dangerous situation for Sly to hang around here. Firetail kind of just feeling things out. And this is the trespass onto the Samuel. They'll blow him up. They've got the damage. Hello. Goodbye, Samuel. Penguin of War looking to apply some damage here. You gotta be careful. The Solar Storm tears on through, plus Moline with the burst damage. They tear them down. Fiery Throw Esports. Another form detonator here. Luga, he'll be able to take Solicitude. Artemis trying to keep his team alive. Perdune stacking up that breaking point. It's time to go to work, boys. Get in there, but Cracks. He's the Vox. He's doing it. Perdune and Vox. Perdune on this Black Feather. And Cracks on that Vox. Very similar playstyles through this fight. Stack up that breaking point and just go ham. Perdune, I don't think, unless he does some miracle play, that he gets out of this one. Fontu will be able to take him down. That's going to be the reverse ace for Sly. And correct me if I'm wrong, that was a 5 versus 4.
That was a 5 versus 4. Shake my head, Fiery Tail Sports. You were given a gift. I had no clue what Sneaky was doing at the start of that engagement. Why these teams and why these players are not sticking with their teams at 24 minutes into the game is beyond me. They should have been able to close it out if they just kept their heads. Samuel, though, Waldemar, I don't know why he was so far forward. Reverse throwing it back to Sly, giving them another gift. Things finding another little bit of a reset here is a lot of these heroes are starting to hit full builds. Baron has the double monocle. Breaking Point Sorrow Blade online. That is going to hit like an absolute truck. And if he stacks up in these fights, should be able to just run away with it.
No, I think you got that one wrong. Truck hits like a full build Baron is what I always like to say. Waldemar, what are you doing? The Solar Storm follow-up was just too good. Now, this is Fiery Tail Esports on the back foot. What do you don't contest, you look for a split push. I mean, currently, Luga's shoving the lane. Sneaky will be able to drop back, maybe thwart some of this pressure coming out on the turret. In fact, there's zero pressure on the turret. What is happening?
Little bit of Fiery Tail Sports just starting to panic so far into the game. Waldemar, he doesn't have a block. If you don't have a block and you're chained by a Churnwalker, you need to disengage immediately. Why you don't have a block this late into the game, I'm not really sure. Or any defense for that matter. I mean, he doesn't have a Slumbering Husk, so as soon as he gets caught out of position, he's just going to get deleted from the game. But Sly, I really don't like this. Sneaky taking Perdune in a 1v1 on the bottom side of the map. I would really prefer this utility Artem to be with his team, because as Perdune gets stacked up, surely he's going to be able to drop Sneaky, but it's a question of, can Sneaky stall him long enough? It
sure looks like it. This is going to take a long time to take this Arden down. In the meantime, his base is taking a lot of damage. Solar Storm tears on through. Waldemar's down again, but now Luga onto the backline. Solicitude and Cracks are low. They turn it around. Luga's down. Penguin of War, have you gone too far? He jumped in too far. He gets one kill, but Solicitude stays alive. That is painful to watch there. And it sure feels good if you're a Sly fan. Sly gonna slide right onto that Vein Crystal here. And it looks like Sly will be taking this game to 26.5 minutes in. Fiery Tail Esports definitely put on a good showing, but Sly proving to be the better team.
Sly definitely earning their victory there. Solicitude, those Solar Storms onto Waldemar with no defense, critical in their victory here.
Definitely was, and a great series to start the day. A couple of great men over at the analyst desk, Tasty Bacon and Munchables.
Great calls, as always, from FlashX and Humanist there. We'll talk to them again later in the next series, but what a performance coming out from Sly. That was as dicey as a game can get, though, for Sly.
I mean, FlashX said it best. Throws and counter throws right back. I mean, that game was almost handed to Fiery Esports at one point because of Sly just getting over-aggressive and staying too long on a push. But then Fiery Tail just not able to position properly in the last couple of fights, getting caught out and losing a member right at the start.
Honestly, Sly Game 1 and Sly Game 2 look very different indeed, but let's take a look at where we are in the tournament off the back of that one. Here in the bracket, you can see that Sly are going to be moving forward against Fiery Tail, which means we have one last quarterfinal to decide. That's going to be Queso up against Asura. That'll be coming up next for you guys. But let's just talk about what actually happened there, because it felt like it was just going to be game one all over again. Sly were ahead to start things off. What went wrong for them?
It came down to that first Black Claw push that they made. They go in, they looked to take a little bit more than they needed to. We've talked about this before, actually, with some teams where they push in with Black Claw, they get to the armory, and then they back off. And we like that because it's not going over aggressive. This is what happens when you do make those over aggressive calls. Your opponents are respawning in their base full health. You're still sitting at about half health, and you go for these fights, you just start getting picked off, and it just gives so much of a gold swing back to your opponents.
That's exactly what we saw. But then we saw over the next few fights, Sly, they seemed to, it just completely knocked them. They weren't coordinated. They were splitting up in the fights. They weren't working together. It was like a completely different team to what we saw in game number 1. Luckily for them, later on in the game, Fiery Tail seemed to lose track of what their win condition was. So it does go the way of Sly in the end. Fantastic job by them, 2-0, and they are going to move forward to the semi-finals. Before we jump into our next series of the day, let's have a quick word from Razor. We're coming at you guys live from Las Vegas, Nevada here for the Vainglory Premier League Summer Open. We are at the PokerGo studio in the Aria Resort and Casino. And well, in case you've been living under a rock, let me explain to you guys the PokerGo format for the tournament. This is a best of 3 single elimination format, which means when you're a team like Fiery Tail, if you lose 2 back-to-back, you're going to be knocked straight out of the tournament.
Yeah, and unfortunately, getting knocked out of the tournament means you are not going to get your hands on a share of the Dollar Shave Club prize pool. 3 teams will be walking away with some cash in hand, $5,000 up for grabs in each region.
Yeah, absolutely. The top 4 will be remaining at the end of this week. Only one of them will go home empty-handed. The team in first will walk away with $3,000. But let's take a look at our next matchup, presented, of course, by Play Big. We're going to be jumping into our match between Team Queso and Team Asura. In fact, let's bear in mind that, you know, $3,000 for these guys. First prize is definitely going to be something to fight for here, and we're now getting to the point in the tournament where those top 4 teams, any single one of them could get that first place spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have a lot of these teams that you could have a game where you look really good, and then just all of a sudden it slips away, and that can just set you on tilt. You could end up causing issues, and that's how upsets happen. So
we nearly just saw that in the
very
series
nearly
between Sly
did.
and Fiery Tail.
Yeah, so you have to be on the top of your game at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at that head-to-head presented by Playvig between Queso and Team Asura. Now, I was talking to Tyrus from Queso this week leading into the games to find out how confident Queso are for the rest of the tournament in our Razor phone-in.
What's up, Vainglory fam? My name is Tyrus and I'm the jungler for Team Queso. I think the reason why we are one of the best teams right now is the fact that we are playing together since the very beginning of this year and already went through quite some ups and downs. I also believe that team synergy starts with being respectful. On top of that, we are very good friends with each other, so that helps a lot.
You can hear he is obviously confident moving forward. You expect him to be, and we can take a look. Techno JJ is back onto the roster. It's going to be Techno JJ, Hundor, Palmatoro, Tyrus, and then PRZ. We could well see Hegman jumping on in as well. That's the 6th player on the team. They're able to swap around in this squad. So, I mean, there's a lot of flexibility there.
We saw in their first game, it was both Techno JJ and PRZ not there, and it was Hegman and Bayou stepping in, their coach. So this time Bayou I don't think is going to be seen on the rise, but no, they are still a very strong team.
They are going to be terrifying to watch. And we were speaking to Asura this week as well, specifically Hunter X, on how confident they are going up against Queso in our Razor phone-in.
Hello guys, I'm Hunter X, captain and top laner for Team Asura. Today we will play against Team Queso. I think if we can work together and fully concentrate to our games, we can easily win this matchup. We have some really good players in our side, especially Tricky, who can easily decide the game with his instant plays.
There we have it. Definitely confident in, specifically in the roster. And let's take a look at that. We've got Master All Tricky, Hunter X, Jesus, and then Bruto. Now these guys, especially Tricky, are going to be terrifying. Tricky, let's bear in mind, this is a guy that he's never seems to be consistently on a roster for that long, but when he is on a roster, he blows that roster up.
Yeah, I mean, he's a player that had started off as a substitute, very quickly became a starter, has been relegated back to substitute roles, has been starters again, so he's very on and on again, off again type of player, but like you mentioned, when he is on, He is incredibly mechanically sound and incredibly talented at going in, finding 1v1 opportunities, even 1v2 opportunities at times, but coming out on top.
And that's what we're expecting to see here. Like last week, Team Asura, Tricky was absolutely one of the standouts, but they're against a tougher opponent this time around. It's
Much
Asura
tougher.
versus Queso. Like, yes, Tricky is an incredibly strong carry, but so is Hundor, so is Techno JJ, who's back on the lineup. I mean, let's talk a second for Techno JJ, because this guy, he's a legend within Europe as one of the best carries.
Yeah, has been historically known as being a top level carry, constantly able to get the CS numbers is what he's most known for. He has through the roof farming abilities. You know, he was one of the originators of this strategy in 3v3 where it was feed all of the gold to the carry, and he was one of the reasons why teams started doing that, because he was so good at taking that gold and turning it into wins.
I mean, there's Techno JJ, absolute carry. One of his old rivals, now teammate, is Hundor as well. And last weekend, Hundor actually broke the kill record here in the VPL, managing to net himself 22 kills in a single game. And not just that, it was on Anchor as well. He did it with style. That was the first positive Anchor performance we'd seen.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if Hundor is going to go back to this Anchor, look to maybe set a new record for himself. But at the same time, like 22 kills for one player. We see games that don't have 22 kills between the two teams, let alone for one player. So obviously someone that we have to watch out for. You have to keep your eyes on all game long to see what he's going to do.
When you look at the Queso roster in general, it's terrifying. It's absolutely one of the most stacked rosters in Europe. The only one in terms of like their names on the roster that can contest is Clash right now. Everyone else needs to prove that they are going to be one of the new top teams here in Europe. And when you look at Asura, that is the team that's looking to prove themselves. We were talking about it yesterday in Hit or Miss. We were saying this is probably the best new team in the entire tournament. And I mean, this is the ultimate test for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can, it's similar to what we said yesterday in the Clash matchup, where if you take down Queso, you're now suddenly the team with a target on your back. You're now suddenly the team that everyone else is going to be chasing because you were able to do what nobody expected you to be able to do, and that is take down a team like Queso. Like everyone at the start of this expected the finals to be Queso Clash. Just looking at preseason, looking at past performances, that's the expected outcome.
I mean,
and this is your
C1,
chance to
C2,
shake up the expected outcome.
Absolutely. It's a chance to be the underdog that everyone knows you are, but to prove yourself. And also, even if you don't win this series against Queso, let's not beat around the bush. Asura are the underdogs. But prove yourself either as a team or as a player, right? Like, make yourself a bit of a showreel. Show that next time around, you are going to be better. You are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And, fight for your seeding in the next tournament, essentially. Some of it is done on how well you perform here. So, you got to make sure that you're having as good of a show as you can.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, but you talked about how show out your individual skills. There could be spots open on some of these top rosters down the road. Some of these players have to step away. Keanu Nakoa is now stepping away a little bit from the competing in Vainglory. That's a spot open on a top team that is, now maybe you could end up taking if you put on a good showing and show that you are deserving of being a top-level performer in Vainglory.
Absolutely. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Queso as well, because we've seen them play now. They had their debut in Week 3. I want to take a look at our Rockstar rewind of what actually happened in Week 3, because these guys look terrifying.
Yeah, and again, this is with both Hegman and Bayou stepping onto the rise. It didn't seem to make any sort of change in their step for the side of Queso. They were just as dominant of a team as we know them to be, and they were taking down a team in First Skull Blanca that we had seen before look pretty good in their play-in games, but just no match for Queso.
Yeah, and the presence of mind to see that an invade is coming at level 1, just go for the full 5v5, win that situation out. But if you're a team like Queso, you're going to use that goal lead. You're going to use the advantage you've pulled out of that. And there's very little... The thing about Queso is they're not a team that's going to give you opportunities to come back. You have to make opportunities against a team like Queso because they play so cleanly.
Yeah, and the really difficult thing is to make those opportunities, you usually have to do something that will catch your opponents by surprise. We've already heard earlier, we heard Waldemar talking about Queso and saying this is a team that they prepare so professionally for every game that it makes catching them off guard that much more difficult because it doesn't matter if you're a play-in team, if you're in the quarterfinals, if you're in the semifinals, if it's the finals, they prepare for every team the same. They do not overlook any of their opponents. They treat every opponent like they are a top contender, and that's one of the things that makes them such a strong team.
Absolutely. While we wait for Queso to get on into the lobby, let's take a look at our schedule for the rest of the day, because we have some serious matchups coming to your screens here. Obviously, we are in Queso versus Asura right now. We should be able to kick that off shortly for you guys. But later on today, we'll be jumping into our North American games. And, you know, Tribe versus Rampage Gods will be the last one of the day, but Hammers versus Ferox, that matchup is going to be insane.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely thrilling match. Again, I'm expecting it to be very similar in excitement to something like the Divine Vendetta versus Rising Lotus, or, you know, the Sly versus Firetail that we just had. It's two teams that look very much even when it comes to, you look at the rosters, you compare the rosters, you could easily see either of those two teams moving on from that, and that usually leads to the most compelling matches.
Now, when we talk about this upcoming match, Queso versus Asura, what we've seen from Queso in the past is that Tyras will completely control the jungle. He's more than willing to invade, and he knows he'll have the backup from his team. If you're Asura in this situation, you're the underdog, and you know you're up against a guy like this that will invade, that will try and take control, how do you react to that?
The key things are to, first of all, get vision control, which you have to get vision on your entrances to the jungle. It's something that we don't actually talk about too much, is, you know, where exactly you place your scout cams early on in the game. You want to get those scout cams down near the entrances to your side of the jungle, or the exits of your opponent's jungle is in even better spot, because then you see when Tyrus is coming out of the jungle, even if it's in the middle of the river, you see where he's coming out, you know where he is as early as possible, so that you can then start rotating your laners over to try and counteract that. You also need to be aware of, if your opposing laner starts to really shove their lane harder than they normally do, that's a red flag. That means that Tyrus is going to be on that side of the map looking for a gank, because that means that that laner is looking to rotate to join in and help with those movements. So you have to watch for those little subtleties and differences of, you know, if your opposing laner suddenly starts playing a little bit differently than how they normally do, think about why they would be doing this. Is it because they're anticipating someone coming to help?
What's the situation?
Are they trying to get you to go a little bit too far, or are they pushing in so that they can leave?
You've got to be in their heads. You've got to be figuring out what your opponent is going to do. Let's take a look at what's been happening over in North America as well so far. We already had two of our quarterfinals, Nova and Vision, both moving forward. That's going to be a semi-final matchup, which is going to be insane to watch. I cannot wait to see Seed 2 versus Seed 3 right there. Now we are going to be jumping into later today, Hammers Esports versus Ferox, and Tribe versus Rampage Gods. Those are the last two quarterfinals. Then we'll have our North American top four, which honestly, I still don't know who the top four is going to be with those two matches.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we expect Tribe to be one of those three, but with Ferox and Hammers, that one could absolutely go either way. So make sure that you stick around and tune in for the North American broadcast so that you can find out who is going to be joining the other two teams already qualified for the semifinals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ferox versus Hammers is such a tough one to call right now, because Hammers, they obviously have been looking a lot better than preseason. They are looking like a team that has some stuff behind them. They've got a little bit of momentum, but Ferox, they beat Nova in the NACL 3-0 as well. Obviously, during game one, that was kind of a default win because Delphi had a fire alarm go off, so he couldn't actually play halfway through the game. But then off the back of that, they won two more back to back. So you have to give credit to Ferox there. You have to say that this is a team to be watching out for. Absolutely a dark horse in North America. And I can't wait to see if they can keep that ball rolling once we get to that match.
Yeah, keeping that momentum alive is key. And you mentioned Hammers, they have looked better, but they haven't really been tested yet either. A lot of these teams really haven't been tested. This is their first big test for both Ferox and Hammers on the VPL stage. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see which of those teams steps up and which of them takes the brass ring and, you know, moves on into the semifinals. But again, it's also one of those situations where it's like your prize is you get to go play Tribe. That's not exactly an ideal situation to be in, but it at least gives you the chance to play against Tribe and that opportunity to become the dark horse and the team that upsets Tribe if you're able to.
Absolutely. Now, while we wait for the players to get ready for this last European quarterfinal, I'm actually going to give you a little bit of a preview of what's going to be happening later with Hammers versus Ferox. We were speaking to Level from Hammers during the week to find out how confident they are and how he feels about the Hammers roster right now, moving on into his matchup in our Razor phone-in.
What's up, everybody? My name is Level, and I am the top laner for Hammers Esports. This week in VPL, we're going to be going up against Team Ferox. They're a solid up-and-coming team with plenty of recognizable names who have been putting a lot of work into the game. Overall, we're feeling pretty confident with this patch, and we're definitely excited to play against them. We've come a long way from going 0-7 in the preseason, so be on the lookout because we're definitely trying to pull this one out and move on to next week. Thank you guys all for your support, and I hope you enjoy the matches.
And you can hear he is confident moving on in. And one thing we do have to talk about when we talk about Hammers is Drunami has left the roster now. He's going to be focusing on university for the upcoming year, so he's not going to be playing Vainglory professionally anymore, which means Hammers have had to pivot slightly. But speaking of pivoting, we are going to be kicking off this series. We're going into Queso versus Asura, so we'll get back on into that series. We'll talk about Hammers and Ferox when we get to our North American game. So, Tasty Bacon, give me a bit of what are we expecting to see here? Are we expecting kind of meta drafts? Because I feel like Asura need to break the mold a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to see Asura try and do something a little off the wall. Try and catch Queso off guard. That's the biggest thing that you can do when you are such a large underdog in a series, is to just do something to surprise your opponents. And that's their best chance, I think, at getting on a win here. You see a lot of pedal hovers, but don't know if either of those gonna come through. We'll have to wait and see. But the bans, again, nothing too incredibly surprising when it comes to the bans.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff so far. Grumpjaw, first lock-in, very much expected. You want to see that coming out, especially on the side of Queso. If they give that to Tyrus, I mean, we've seen him on Grumpjaw, we've seen him on Tony as well, able to just completely control the game on those kind of bruiser picks. So I'd love to see Tony's second rotation, honestly, for Queso, because we've seen that when they get those kind of bruises, they can just dominate a game.
Yeah, and I mean, you already have the Grumpjaw, like you mentioned. We've talked about in depth the Grumpjaw and how strong he is in the jungle, in controlling the early game and setting up your teammates to succeed. And that's one of the things that they excel at on Queso, is setting up their carries to have these phenomenal games. It's one of the reasons why Tyrus is such a good jungler and why so many teams fear him. Yeah. Because it's not just because he's able to get the kills himself, it's that he makes it so much easier for guys like Hundor and Teto JJ to have those stellar games.
He sets his team up for success. We're going to see that Tony locked in as well. So the top and jungle there in the Tony and Grumpjaw, and then we're going to have Adagio locked in as the third pick there. So again, not really giving away what they want to do in the early stages of the draft, leaving those carry picks for last.
Yeah, with having the Grumpjaw and the Adagio, you can go for someone who's going to be diving in as one of your carries, or you can play the range game and use that protect the carry style composition. Obviously, a little bit tougher to do protect the carry when you have Arden, Trinwalker, and Lorelei all taken away. Those are the kind of the three best at the protect the carry sort of style. But we'll wait and see, because that leads me to believe that they want to do protect the carry on the side of Asura. But with the Samuel as well, now you're looking for weapon power damage, and so maybe they're going to go for that hard dive hero on the side of Asura, but maybe something like the Black Feather could come through. You've got options there for them, because you have such a strong utility front line for the team.
We are going to see the Celeste locked in here, and that could well be in the hands of Hundor. We've seen so much Celeste from Hundor over the years. He's a dominant player on that. We could see the first Gwen of the week as well. We've not really seen Gwen. She's kind of fallen off a little bit. I think we saw her once yesterday, but certainly not as much as we saw the week before.
Yeah, she was in almost every game last week. It is going to be Gwen coming on through, and again, that is just a scary looking lineup that Queso have put together with this draft. A good amount of range damage with the Gwen and the Celeste, and of course the Grumpjaw and the Tony that can be in your face as well. So basically being able to mix it up and adapt to whatever their opponents are going to look to do when it comes to team fights. final pick is going to be
Look at
Vox.
that
So
composition. The longer these fights go on, the better it is for Asura, honestly. That's like the definition of a scaling composition. They want those late game fights and they want to survive as long as they can. Build up those breaking point stats and the Dragon's Eye stacks. Now, I want to take a quick look at the rosters once again before we jump on into this game because it's been a little while since we looked at the rosters at this point. Techno, JJ, Hundor, Palmatoro, Tyras, PRZ going to be stepping forward for the likes of Queso, and Hegman as well is kind of the 6th member.
yeah, definitely the favorites coming into this one. The team tasked with taking down the Giants is going to be Team Asura with a Master All, Tricky, Hunter X, Jesus, and Bruto rounding out the composition. We may also see Nosoyo Nomo getting on into the rise as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All of these players are potentially going to be stepping on forward, especially when you've got such stacked rosters. It's about time we jump on into this series, though. We've chatted long enough. It's time that I give it over to FlashX and Humanist once more, because it is time for Queso up against Asura, our last quarterfinal for Europe. It's time to find out who makes it to top 4.
Well, I hope everybody already got their snacks because this game is underway. My name's Humanist. I'm joined by FlashX, and we have Queso versus Team Asura. This is surely going to be a great matchup.
This is going to be a great matchup indeed. Asura, I really like what they've done in this draft. Churnwalker and Samuel is a disgusting combination that Queso, I don't know if they were underestimating it. Maybe they have a game plan for it. Maybe they just like their draft better. Gonna be some switching of the jungles here early on. Asura, if they can step up their mechanics to the level of Queso, I think that this draft has definitely gone in their favor.
I mean, when I look over at Team Asura, I'm the first thing that jumps out at me is like Lorelei, Churn, and Arden all together. That's a lot of beef.
It is a lot of beef. It's a very tanky front line. The water wall on Lorelei, if Tricky or Josele gets engaged upon, he's going to be able to bail them out of it. They're going to have to make sure that they're kiting back, though. We needed to see Sly do it last game. They were able to finally pull it together in the end and make it happen, but they need to make sure that they are operating on the same frequency at all time throughout the entirety of this game. And a little bit of an early game interesting setup. Bruto on this Churnwalker helping out Tricky in the top lane, not something that we see too often. It's going to enable them to just kind of rotate back into the jungle together as this game moves on.
Yeah, they're able to shove that lane together. I think also, I mean, Vox is one of those heroes that is kind of susceptible to that Grumpjaw early on. He can bully him a little bit. Not going to be a problem at all, though. This Team Asura making that nice, tight little call. Grumpjaw able to shove that lane, get himself back to base, buy up some items, and quickly right back out there. Dude, I gotta say, it is great to see some of these names out on the map. Techno, JG, Palmatoro, Hegman, Hundor, Tyrus. It feels so good.
Super stacked roster. Some of the, if not the most talented players in all of Europe. These guys have been playing together for a while. A couple of them out last weekend. They are back at full strength this weekend. Techno with a nice core collapse onto Josele.
Drink that in. That's going to happen all day long. Bruto trying to find the hook and chains on the Palmatoro. Palmatoro sniffing that out. Did have vision down, not really a big deal. Back to mid lane, it's Josele almost going down, able to juggle that damage. Hunter X helping his buddy out. Now back up to the top river. Master All looks like he's caught out and will be first blood over to Team Queso as they put a little stinky cheese on that one. Also going for weapon treant at this point. They'll put some damage onto these heroes if they want to stay around Team Asura. This looks like a bad place to be right now. In fact, weapon buff does go over to Bruto, but it's going to be dropping very shortly. At least I would imagine. Arden down. Tricky will be next. Hundor, can he take a double kill? Celeste will take the third kill as Queso will go up 4-2-0.
It doesn't matter who I think has the better composition if the other team is just going to have super sloppy rotations. I mean, it started with Josele just rotating way out of position in the mid lane. He got taken down to one hit, had to recall. Master All, I don't know what he was doing in the middle of the river, stuck between 3 people on the side of Queso. And then Queso grouped up his 5, pressed into the jungle, was able to steal away some camps. They got a 2K gold lead 4 kills on the board, have not given any of their own, and they've got to be feeling pretty dang good about that.
I like to think that the Lorelei was just kind of role-playing in the water over there a little bit, just, you know, got caught off guard. Sometimes you get a little bit, you know, caught up in your having fun time, and, you know, against a team like Team Queso, they're going to take advantage of that all day long.
Hunter X on this Arden. Again, we see another one of these utility-style Ardens. We want to make sure that he is the one grouping up with your team, though. If you're building utility items, you want to be able to give that utility to your team. Just a little bit of a ring around the rosy as he goes back under to catch his wave. Some damage being traded back. Tetno has looked really good on the Celeste early on. His last hits are on point. He's got the bases to his, what I would hope to be Spellfire. We've seen a little bit of Frostburn. I think Tetno, he's under more of a standard player. He'll stick with the Spellfire. But yeah, if he continues to land these really nice core collapses and puts out this damage, he should be quite the monster in this game.
Yeah, Hundor already a monster, has Sorrow Blade complete. Look at Tyrus on the front side of this fight. Tyrus absorbing a lot of damage. They turn around, a 3-man core collapse. Now going for Tricky. Palmatoro shows up to the fight. Team Queso, they want some. They're about to get them some. Bruto forced back. He's got some hook and chains out there, kind of slowing down the progress of Team Queso. But they will easily take 3 there. Or 2 there. They take 2 there. 6-0, 6 minutes in. Not even quite 6 minutes in yet. Look, I like how Josla and Bruto were taking those camps at the same time. That's a nice efficiency to see.
It was pretty nice. Palmatoro, though, finding the last hit onto the weapon treant. Feels bad if you're a Asura man. Tyra's a phenomenal job in that last engagement, frontlining for his team. That's what you need your tanks to do. You need your tanks to go in, get these engagements started, absorb and soak up as much damage as possible, as you allow Hundur on this Gwen, Tetno, JJ on the Celeste to just sit in the backline and wreak havoc.
I don't know if it's the Havoc wreaking or just the cheese flash.
Probably a little bit of a combination of both. Some spicy cheese going on for sure. Queso doing a great job maintaining map pressure. Vision all across the board as they clear out a couple of those scout cams. Hegman has his Crucible online, so Oblivion not going to be too much of a threat. Tetno JJ sitting on quite a bit of gold. He is going to hit some major item power spikes right here.
Tetno moves over. He's going to go ahead and pick up his Dragon's Eye to start things off here. And what you were saying, Spellfire is what you wanted to see to start.
Spellfire, I definitely think is the right call. Maybe Hegman or Tetno JJ feels like he's so far ahead at this point that he can just get the Dragon's Eye. He hasn't really been pressured at all, so he is sitting in the back line.
Oh,
massive
boy,
damage.
that was nice! The taunt into the aces high, and they just delete his Josla. Man, I love to see stuff like that.
Queso not even hesitating to pull the trigger onto this Ghost Wing. Asura positioning to try and contest. They're not going to be able to. Queso just steamrolling ahead at this point.
Tricky tries to shove the lane, but this is going to leave them a little bit vulnerable here. Now Team Queso, they spread a little damage out onto multiple members of Team Asura. Now the jump goes. Hunter X will fall. It's Josla has made his way down here, and a nice trespass from Bruto will mean 1 kill goes over to the way of Team Asura as Tyrus falls. A nice return kill, but they got to be careful here. This is going to be at least the weapon tree, and weapon tree should be going the way of Queso, and that does go on to Hundur. Gold Oak will not be taken away by Queso, so it does go over to Team Asura. But you can feel the momentum just building up in this game.
Absolutely. When you take a look at some of these items right now, Hegman is already sitting on Crucible and War Treads. Hunter X doesn't even have a single tier 3 item. He has a bunch of bases under his belt, but he needs to start completing some of these items because Queso, with this massive lead that they have early on, these items are pivotal in finding success in these team fights, and Hunter X really needs to help his team out and complete some of these items. He does have the gauntlet online now that's going to synergize really well with the trespass on Churnwalker, but Asura needs to get a little bit tighter and pick off some heroes. Tetno very smartly rotating out. Asura looking to group his 5 and perhaps put on a little bit of pressure.
Man, Tetno is just, he's so accurate as he's throwing these abilities out. Like, you know, it feels like 90% of his Helios and core collapses are actually landing onto at least one hero.
They've been phenomenal throughout. He's going to start stacking up with his Dragon's Eye. Gets pulled in, though.
It feels like I might have cursed him right here, but he stays alive. The gauntlet comes down. Hunter Rex is isolated away from his team. Palmatoro takes a lot of damage, tries to reposition back. Hundor dancing in and out of the fight. He'll move forward to take Samuel. Tibrus, bada bing, bada boom! Team Queso begin to just eat Team Asura alive, and they'll drink the salty tears of Team Asura fans that cry in the Twitch chat out in the pain flash as Queso drop the hammer at 9 minutes 45 seconds in.
Oh my Hundor. He is hitting like a truck on this Gwen right now. Not a carry that we've seen too much in VPL, but Hundor has looked so good on it. 6-0-7. 1,000 gold underneath his belt. He's got the Sorrow Blade. He's got the breaking point. He is getting stacked up with great positioning in these fights and just deleting Asura.
Hook and chains coming out, but it doesn't matter when you have 834 damage crits coming out, 20 breaking point stacks on Hundor. Who do you want? Just take them. They're all yours now, Hundor. Hundor will find a triple kill. Goldo going their way as well as Team Queso will find themselves up 16-1, 10.5 minutes in. And you know what? This game was, net worth, a few minutes ago. Not a huge blowout. It's suddenly a runaway.
It's about a 10, almost 11k gold difference. Ghostwing back online. If I were Queso, I would wait to take Ghostwing maybe about 30-45 seconds from now, closer to when Blackclaw is spawning as well. You get those dragons, you push, you close out this game. Asura at this point can't do anything.
Jostla will move forward in the Drifting Dark. Quite a bold Drifting Dark to throw out there, my man. Team Asura are clumped up, which feels a little sketchy against Techno JJ Celeste right now. The taunt from Tyrus will kind of hold them in place momentarily. The jump in by Palmatoro, trying to get the damage onto Tricky and Bruto, who are hanging out around the front line of that fight. A very defensive trespass. Bruto will try to run away from the attacks out of the Celeste. Can't do it! He can't run away from those! Even Flash knows that one. Gauntlet comes down, Hunter. He's like, dude, there's actually nowhere to go right now, team. Palmatoro trying to get stuffed up. He was a hungry little Grumjaw, but stunned up just on the edge of that gauntlet there. And this is Team Queso just playing giddy up cowboy over here. Ace's eye over the wall as Team Asura just simply get destroyed. My goodness, Team Queso having a good time.
A good time. It's a party. It was a 4v5 for almost that entire fight as Hundor was split pushing the bottom lane, but as soon as he showed up, that Boomstick perk, he is dropping some huge autos with huge crits, stacking that breaking point so quickly. They're going to take these dragons right now. They're going to close out this game.
Is it against the rules to forfeit?
I don't know, but I feel like if you are in Team Asura's shoes, you're just delaying the inevitable at this point. Queso would have to run in one by one and just basically sacrifice themselves in order for them to give up this lead.
But I think that depending on the order they went in, one by one, they could still win the team fight.
If Hunter's the first one in, yes, he might be able to drop them quick enough.
They might. Tony looking maybe for a little taunt there, not going to find it, not a big deal. They're just going ahead and reset. Now there is vision down. Oblivion gets thrown out, won't be on the mark. Tyrus finds the taunt onto Hunter. Hunter will be pulled back. No follow-up though. The rest of the case, though, just kind of slow rolling this one right now. In fact, Palmatoro is on the top side of this map.
Asura doing their best to keep their composure. I mean, I like that they're still just not completely crumbling at the seams. They are grouped as 5, which is exactly what they need to do if they want to find their way back into this Queso, starting up the Blackclaw now. But with that Ghostwing buff, this is just not what you want. If you are Asura, there's not much you can do. You need to try and find a little bit of kite back. They see the flames coming out of Blackclaw. They know that they have to engage and contest this if they want to stand a chance.
Well, do they want to? Do they know it? Questionable. Do they want to? I think we can tell that they want to do something. Is anything going to happen?
No.
I'm not feeling it.
Not today. They're gonna find a reset. They might pick up a couple of infusions right here. Tricky In a tricky spot, he's going to dash away. Hunter RX taking a little bit of damage. Hundor doing what he can to start stacking this breaking point.
Tenno JJ just hangs out on the back lines. This Black Claw is getting quite irritated at Team Asura for existing at this point. Team Queso will move on in. Looks like Bruto will drop. He gets the trust back, but look at that. Tyrus is already in position. Double kill comes through for Hundor. Ace is high. I don't think he missed an ace is high this game. Hundor moving in. He'll take the triple kill. It's Josla raining down from that drifting dark out of the healing platform. That'll be 3 kills for Team Asura, but this one is in the bag as Team Queso will take it in sub 15 minutes in quite a stylish fashion.
Tetno and Hegman dropping the perfect games. They looked pretty phenomenal throughout. Really just Queso showing their mechanical prowess here. They're going to look to repeat that in the game number 2.
Quite a close game here in game 1. I mean, I can't even figure out how it went wrong for Asura. Maybe to break that one down, let's throw it back over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Humanist and Flash. As always, great cast, but what a performance coming out from Queso. Utter domination across the map.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we look and say, okay, was there one standout player, one standout moment of the game? This was just the top to bottom, start to finish, Team Queso just outperforming Team Asura. And there was, I mean, Asura didn't play particularly poorly. It's just that Queso was that good.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, if you're Asura right now, going into game number 2, you're going to be kind of thrown for a loop right now. You've got to take a moment here, reset, and kind of take it game by game, because after losing that dramatically, that one-handedly, you're going to really struggle to keep that mentality in check. That's what you've got to do, though, if you want to be able to come back in the best of 3.
Yeah, it's going to be so tough, but this is where now you went at them with kind of the standard composition. I think at this point you just kind of say, okay, that didn't work at all. If we have any inkling of a hope, we have to go off the wall fully. Like, just completely just play what you think might work. Like, go experimental compositions. Something along those lines is really the only way I could see them getting
Don't play
an edge.
G meta, play your meta at that point, and we'll see if that's going to happen. Let's take a look at where we are in the tournament as we have a glance over at our bracket presented by the Razer phone. We have Clash and Rising Lotus already qualified. Sly made it through earlier on today. We'll be deciding the last of our top 4 right here in this match right now. Feels like it might be Queso, and I want to take a look as well at the top favorites right now for this entire bracket. We've got right now Clash, absolutely a favorite. They've already moved on their side of the bracket. Queso looking like they very much will as well. And I want to compare the two teams because they're two very different styles of teams.
Yeah, and these are the stats that we pulled coming into this week. So going to be a little bit different, obviously, when this is all said and done. But as of right now, Queso, kill heavy. I mean, it kind of said it's kind of obvious when you have one player with a 22 kill game that you're probably going to have the lead when it comes to actually finding kills. But the big thing on that graphic is actually the fact that the turrets are so much lower for Queso. Like, their style of play is they pick one lane and just shove that lane. They did that in this game as well, where it was just mid. They just went straight down mid. They got 1 or 2 turrets on the side lanes, but that was not their focus. They don't really, once they just make a decision, once they know they have this lead, they just say, you know what, we don't even need to worry about the side lanes. Just clear out the minions, make sure they don't get a chance to push into us, but we're just going to go win through mid.
I think the biggest difference between Clash and Queso is when Queso play a lot around Blackclaw. When they get Blackclaw, they push with that. They force mid lane and try and end the game with Blackclaw. Whereas Clash much more prefer to go with the team fights. If they do get Blackclaw, quite often we'll see someone split pushing, or we'll see them play the map a little bit more. So they're more willing to go to the side lanes, try and manipulate minion waves and force the win that way. So we'll see how that's going to pan out. Whether we actually see that matchup in the tournament, obviously they have to win their semifinals first, but before they can win the semifinals, Queso still have to win this quarterfinal up against Asura. We'll see what Asura have up their sleeves here, whether they're going to be able to force something out of Queso, because looking at game 1, it was not pretty for Asura.
Nah, not at all. And again, it's so much of it is just because you watch it and it's like, again, Asura didn't play particularly poorly. They weren't making rampant mistakes. It was just Queso. We're just on another level. To start this one off, well, that's going to shake things up a little bit. And Anka right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. So we said that they need to pull something out that's going to be a surprise. Well, Anka first pick, like a couple of weeks ago, we were saying, yeah, Anka first pick every game is broken. But honestly, we've seen people can draft around it. We've seen teams know how to play around this Anka. So first picking it now is a very dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, especially, again, against a team like Queso that are going to likely have a plan for an Anka. But, again, you have to do something. And maybe this Anka is the something that they need to grab in order to shake things up just enough. We'll see what the rest of their composition around this Anka is going to be, because that's one of the things with Anka is you need to build a composition that is catered to her if you want to find success.
The Lance is going to be locked in now. This was one of my trending heroes this week, and we've yet to see it for some reason. He is so good in top lane right now.
Absolutely.
He fits that weapon power bruiser role just perfectly and has incredible wave clip.
Yeah, and also has that extra utility of being able to provide stuns, being able to provide roots. You know, you build a Crucible on him, now you can provide blocking as well. The damage reduction of the Githian wall with the shielding it provides, like, there's so many things you can do with a Lance that I am very surprised that we have not seen it much more frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect to see Lance continue to increase in popularity as a pick. I think he's incredibly strong right now, and I think he's only going to get stronger as well. We do have Fortress, Arden, and Flicker locked in on the side of Queso. So, I mean, this is kind of similar. Game one, obviously Tony's not a captain, but he kind of fits that same niche, right?
He can play as a captain. Yeah. But this is 5 traditional captain heroes on the board right now. We'll see what they're going to round it out with. Obviously, Queso are going to need some damage dealers. They're going to grab the Samuel. I would expect maybe go back to the Gwen or a Baron or something for their final pick. We'll see where they decide to round that out with. But right now, it's up to the side of Asura to finish off their composition. Again, they also need a bit of weapon power damage, so we could see the Gwen come out for them. They're going to grab a Lyra, so another captain taken. And well, they're covering the Varya, but if they lock in this Varya, then the only weapon power damage I can see them having is a full weapon power Lance.
I mean, weapon Varya was the thing for a little while. It wouldn't surprise me too much. It's not meta, but I mean, oh, do they go for it? Oh, please lock in the Silver now.
Take it. Take it.
Oh,
yes!
Look at it. Okay, right. So we have the Lyra, we have Anka, and we have Silvernail, as well as a Lorelei. This is a mega late game composition. If they can survive to the late game, this is terrifying. But it's if they can survive the late game. If Queso can control the early game again, it's kind of already.
It's also the fact that, you know, if you want to catch someone off guard, play one of the heroes that hasn't been seen yet in competitive VPL, and they grab that Silvernail. Unfortunately,
tricky as well.
You know, you go off of just looking at a server's Queso, it's likely to not be a particularly strong first showing for Silvernail, but
we'll see.
Again, I am open to being surprised. I would love to be surprised.
I
would love to see Silvernail just absolutely dominate this game.
And obviously Silvernail, in case you guys haven't played him at home, here are his 4 abilities. He is going to be a weapon power carry, a ranged weapon power carry. That double shot passive though, that's really where a lot of his damage comes from, getting to shoot 2 auto attacks at once occasionally.
And having resets for that passive. That's the key, is using that caustic blessing to be able to provide a reset of the double shot. So the combo, if you can get it perfectly, the combo is you put down a stake, block a dash, or just slow someone up, double shot, caustic blessing, double shot, ult, stun, double shot.
If they're not dead, then you've done something wrong. It's time to get on into this game. This is going to decide our last in the top 4 for Europe. It's time to pass over to FlashX and Humanist and get on into our last quarterfinal.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Game 2 in this series between Team Asura and Team Queso. My name is Humanist. I'm joined by FlashX and Flash. We do have some action off the bat. In fact, it's first blood by Team Asura, striking first blood in the heart of their opponents. The fear coming out from Team Queso is palpable. We also have a Silvernail out on the map.
Or not like this, we have not seen a lot of success out of a weapon power Sky. If you're Hondur, that's not how you want to get things started. Asura needed to do something different in order to have a much better showing here in game number 2. Starting it off with that first blood, phenomenal. I really like the Silver Nail coming out. Tricky playing it, dropped phenomenal stakes, making sure that Hondur was unable to Surrey strike with that silence coming through. Such an interesting mechanic to have in the game now. He can have a huge impact in these team fights. The question is, does Tricky understand the hero well enough to make it happen?
So I also have a question. Is this troll, or is there some strategy I don't know about putting like 3 to 4 or 5 scout cams in one brush?
That's probably going to be just a huge miscommunication. I don't really know.
That's beyond the point of miscommunication.
Yeah, it's questionable. It's questionable to say the least. If Queso's able to recognize that, they might be able to, you know, pick up a little bit extra gold. It's 5 gold, but it does stack up quite a bit. I mean, all the timers on those scout cams basically the same. It could be a huge miscommunication, but yeah, that's if you're honest, sir, that's not what you want to be doing. Maybe they just feel super confident with that first blood. Unfortunately, they're not even gonna have a gold lead from it though.
All right, well, let's see how the next few minutes play out. You would imagine the Queso has vision advantage across the map. In fact, they do have the scout cams spread out down on the bottom half of the map. Techno JJ is going to be happy to just hang out in the lane. Shouldn't feel any pressure, backed up by Hegman, plus the Samuel just naturally going to have regen and damage output potential. Hondur finds this gold oak, waiting for the weapon tree and to spawn. You do have 4 from Team Asura who are already here, so the rotation's a little bit tighter already than last game. Hondur spots them out, able to move back. Impale lands, looking for the Githian wall. They found it, and Hondur just getting raffle-coptered in this early game here now. Queso into collapse, Techno JJ in the Drifting Dark. Look at that splash damage, baby! It's all over. Lorelei enjoys a good splash, but not when it comes out from the Dark Lord himself. That's going to be 3 kills going over to Queso, and it's going to be the 4th to follow quickly as Hunter X slithers to his death.
Hondur had the phenomenal showing on Gwen in game 1. He's struggling here in game 2. Unfortunately, his team's going to bail him out of the bad situation, picking up 4 kills on the backside of that. That's exactly what Samuel wants this early on. Asura super clumped up together. Those Malix and Verdicts coming in, dealing so much damage. Hondur needs to be a little bit more careful with his positioning, the map awareness. When Asura is all off the map, he's got to be careful going into his jungle, especially when they do not have a lot of vision down.
One cool thing I think here with the Silvernail up against the Flicker is you can go ahead and throw that Caustic Blessing, right? So that'll help keep track of that Flicker, I think, a little bit more than, you know, I guess you have other things in the game that you can do, like your buck shots or whatever, but I do like that mechanic. Hunter X taken down up on the top lane, Hondur, and that's going to be a nice little way to pull him back into this game.
Not only is he finding a little bit of redemption in that kill, it's going to cause Hunter X to miss quite a few last hits here in the top lane. We're sub 5 minutes. Is Tyra's going to start pressuring a little bit of turret? No, he's going to rotate out, especially Asura looking for the rotation up to protect the turret.
Yeah, Hondur is not ready to fight. Does have that weapon buff, but he's got a lot of gold to spend. They're going to go ahead and back right now, and I'm excited to see for when Hondur comes online. It does feel inevitable in this matchup here, but dude, Weapon Sky has just felt so weak in all of the matches that I've seen thus far.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how many teams have been preferencing it.
Two-man Impale Master has to back, though. It's Jocelyn just throwing forward that sigil. The stakes down. Not really going to cause too much of a problem there for Queso. Tyrus rotating down the river from the top lane. This team of Sora have to be careful not to stack up and take too much of that splash damage out of Tetno. Tyrus still level 5. He's waiting for that 6. Once that's out, I think we'll see a lot more aggression in the form of Attack of the Pack. There is one stake down. Queso have to be careful not to overstep himself. Flicker rooted up. Palma's going to try and reposition. This is a fight over the weapon treant, and it looks like Team Asura will secure that up. They do have a couple of heroes low, but Team Queso not fully committing into this. Buying time for Hondur, who's still farming. Nice Githian wall back with a jump right back in from Team Queso. Master Ollie's not going to die? Oh my goodness. Palmatoro dropping incredibly low as well. Tricky and Hunter X just trying to hammer those stakes down, find a key target that they can lock down, but nothing's coming of it right here. It's Josla farming a little bit too long in the mid lane. Bites off more than he can chew and goes down.
I am not a fan of the mid lane Lyra at all. I really don't think it's effective. Hundor looking hungrier for some more kills, taking down Hunter X.
Hundor finally collapsing with his team. That's a nice stake positioning down that choke point route. You get a lot of little slow and silence coming out, but you know they're already so far behind that you just can't capitalize on it.
Asura, they started things off so well, picking up the first blood, killing Hundor 2 times in a row, but now they're looking at a 5k gold deficit at just 6 minutes into the game. Queso starting to run away with things looking very similar to how they did in game 1. I thought Asura had some signs of life at the start of this one. Ghostwing online, Hunter X falling again. Hundor getting another kill. Tyra's dropping the wolves. They're looking for more.
Looking for more. Mark out onto Mastral. Bright Bulwark's down. Look at this Lance just getting torn up. Now Hegman, Vanguard over the wall. This is going to be 2 here from Queso. That was clean.
Clean indeed. Hunter X struggling. 1 in 4 at just 7 minutes into the game. That's quite a few deaths that I'm sure he wishes he could have had back if he had the choice, but Queso definitely doing what they can, pressuring both mid and top lane. Top turret falling. That's going to open up the map quite a bit. They haven't secured a Ghost Wing yet, but with that top turret down, that's going to create a little bit more space for them to rotate in and find it. Palmatoro scouting out some of this jungle, getting down a little bit of vision, seeing where this opportunity for Ghost Wing is going to come, but they might want to finish off this mid lane turret first.
I'm surprised that Palmatoro didn't like pull up to try and clear out the vision and these side brush. Maybe it just shows his confidence or a little bit of lack of focus, or just a different kind of focus. They're focused on objectives and getting kills right now. Gauntlet comes out of Hegman. An Impale flying back the other way from Mastral, peeling just a little bit. They will lose 1 here as Hunter X will be second to fall. Team Queso just collapsing down around Team Asura, and it doesn't feel that there's much they can do. In fact, with Tyrus here, everybody's boosted forward. They got that move speed, have that lifesteal. Hundor has breaking point completed now. I didn't see that pickup, but it must have been his last shop trip. And this Sky is actually online after being crushed in the early game.
He went from 0-2 to 5-2. He's hitting like a truck. He's getting these stacks. Serpent's Mask and Breaking Point, such a deadly combination. Turrets are falling left, right, and center. Lyra going a little bit too far forward.
More like Wyra. Tricky. he's just a double kill. Hunter X, you're just Hundor's triple kill. And Bruto, you're just Hundor's quadra kill. Go get it. Go get it. Do not steal this away from my Hundor. Hundor, go get the penta. Go get this man the penta. Get him the penta or surrender the game. That's how you go right now. If someone steal this away from Hundor, this is just not going to be right. Flickers down. Get it. Get it. Get it. Mastral trying to delay the inevitable. Oh my gosh, and he actually delays it. What a horrible man. It's Josla will pay for his sins. Hundor, Surian back off of Tricky. Tricky will get it. Tricky plus the world able to take down our dear Hundor.
Tricky though, not the showing out of Silvernail that we could have hoped for. He's just so far behind at this point. He's got the Serpent's Mask, he's got enough gold to pick up the breaking point, but Hundor on the Sky already picking up the bases to his monocle. He's been hitting hard as it is. He's just going to start hitting that much harder.
Is breaking, do you agree with the breaking point right now? It feels like they're too far behind to have that, like, for this item to have an impact. Well, hold that. Attack of the Pack is out. It looks like they may be losing Tyrus here. No, he stays alive. Thank goodness. What a teammate. Now, finally, this will be the kill coming through as Lyra moves forward to sacrifice her own life to take down the dear wolf. And stakes down. But yeah, back to that. Do you agree with this? Is this the right item, but does being behind not really matter?
It's one of those things where you make these decisions so far in advance. You know that the standard build is the Serpent's Mask breaking point. Once you've committed to it, it's so hard to get out of it. But yeah, I mean, being far behind, you see Queso starting to pick up a lot of defensive items. It's going to make it that much harder to start picking up some of these breaking point stacks. not going to have the impact, but Hundor in a 1v3 situation, Techno coming to bail him out, but Hundor, he is going to just start running away with it.
No, Hunter's running away with it, indeed. He's he got him! Hundor, the legend. Oh, Hundor cleaning it up. You know, my man has not even a full crit item complete here, and he's just terrorizing his opponents. That was pretty phenomenal. He also did that Suri strike to avoid getting pinned up against those stakes, which was pretty clean.
28 kills in 11 minutes, 11k gold lead to Queso. Queso looking to start pressuring this first armory as the tier 3 base turret falls. Queso definitely looking like the best team in Europe right now. They can be in these situations where they're at a man advantage and it doesn't even matter because they're just absolute nightmares.
Absolute nightmares. I think that's probably the best way to describe it right now. Team Asura will just run to every edge of the map to try and escape the pressure that's coming out of Queso. It's just a matter of time now before this game is going to end. It's how many more kills can Queso get before the game's over. I think everybody should drop in chat. How many kills will Queso have when the game ends here? I'm going with like 34. I think maybe they have 34 kills before the game ends.
Oh, I'll go ahead and guess out 36. I think Asura might
It could be a 32, you know, if they just hug that healing platform right there. You know, dive it. Queso, dive the healing platform. Just go get him.
They're Queso padding the stats quite a bit, trying to find some of these last minute kills. Hundor sitting at maximum stacks. Jocelyn 756.
Oh my god, he got blown up. There's 34. Or you're gonna get flashed to 36. Don't do it. Stay at 34. We made the predictions. Don't do. Oh, Hundor, you're a terrible man. I thought we were friends. And we'll split the difference. Flash, how about that?
There you go. Fair enough. 6 to 35. 35 kills, almost 3 kills a minute going over to Queso. That is a show of dominance. Hundor starting off 0-2, turning it into 16-3.
So that was a dominating performance, to say the least. Hello, Team Queso. Goodbye, Team